Welcome back to Phantom Menace.
Okay, so yes, again, I gotta say, I am reading Mabeanie's review of these films off a friggin' essay that he wrote. Okay, these aren't my opinions, these are Mabeanie's, and he will elaborate where he chooses to, although for the most part it's the synopsis of the film. Qui-Gon proved to be a very wise Jedi and an excellent mentor for Obi-Wan. It always felt like Qui-Gon knew more than he let on, something that is referred to later in Attack of the Clones by Count Dooku. In The Revenge of the Sith, when Yoda reveals that Qui-Gon has gone on to the spirit realm and can contact Jedi. Yeah, I always felt that. I always felt like he was always like, he might have even been like the greatest Jedi of all, but he died too soon.
Yeah.
He's
which
a
is
really
always the
loving,
case.
caring, like just really powerful, smart guy. And he got stabbed.
But I do love how that fight comes back in I think it's the
In
Clone
what?
Wars animated series where he fights Maul
Yeah.
on Tatooine, and then Maul, in his arrogance, tries to do the exact same move because he goes, "Oh yeah, this just kills Jedi." Then Obi-Wan like remembers that he did that against Qui-Gon and just easily counters it because he sees it coming.
Well, if it worked
And I'm like,
once, it
that's
can work
pretty
again.
cool.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that it came back in the Clone Wars and was like a recurring character that everyone liked.
Yeah. I didn't like that he was brought back.
I don't like bringing characters back from the dead
Apparently,
in general.
George Lucas wanted to bring him back in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah. I just wish that, look, I personally think that Maul shouldn't have died at all.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if they want to keep bringing him back, then why did they kill him?
Yeah.
You know, he
Oh,
was an
so-
interesting character. Or could
So,
have been.
so
at
that
least.
Obi-Wan had merit, I guess.
What?
It was like a top Jedi who can kill Sith. So that Obi-Wan can avenge.
Oh,
Qui-Gon.
oh yeah, sure. Yeah. I don't know, and I think the way that he gets killed in the Phantom Menace is so like you can't come back from that. I know he still did anyway, but he literally got cut in half and fell down like a reactor core or something. Going back to your thing, watching the Trade Federation being hopeless against the influence of Darth Sidious is very amusing. Yeah, I want to rewatch it again, just kind of for like having like properly, you know, understanding what the fuck is
Because
going on.
there's that line, now there were two of them, this is getting out of control.
Yeah,
I
'cause
had
that's the
I
thing,
had a
it's
thought
all-
today actually at work,
Mhm.
thinking about
I don't know either.
thinking about my thoughts on Star Wars, and it's the main thought is about what changes politically and in the fight between the Separatists and the Republic and the Empire versus Rebellion is they kind of switch sides. It's like if you're with the Republic after it becomes the Empire, you're with the bad guys, which is something they actually touch on in Obi-Wan. They sort of talk about how like you hang around that one with the Empire, then you're in trouble.
Right.
Like they just like didn't know what was the right side to be on, and people believed in the Empire when it stood for something.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I mean,
But then it obviously didn't.
obviously
because the
some
plan
people they
was-
had to believe in it to an extent.
But
some
that
people
was
do.
that was part of Darth Sidious' plans to create the Empire in a way that people would accept.
I do really like that they do have, like that. There's kind of touching upon defectors and stuff. I think it's an
Yeah.
interesting. I feel like it's weird that it hasn't seen as much as that.
Because like the Separatists are the bad guys, but they're pretty much exactly the same as the rebels,
I
who we're
suppose-
supposed to support.
I suppose it did happen in Solo. Where he was
Hmm?
he joined the Empire for a bit for
Huh.
some reason.
Okay.
Didn't you see Solo?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I mean, it's just a thing of perspective, right? Like, yeah, the Separatists and the Rebellion are like the same thing, but like, we're led to believe that the
Rebellion is
Republic
justified.
with the Jedi's, like the Republic with the Jedi's, is a like good, passable place, and thus that makes the Separatists who want to disrupt the order bad. While under the Empire, it's seen as a bad thing, so the rebellion is seen as a good thing to disrupt the order of the bad. Yeah, it's basically just two sides of the same coin.
And watching the Trade Federation being hopeless against the influence of Darth Sidious is very amusing. They clearly couldn't have got into their blockade invasion situation by themselves, as they were clearly more diplomatic sorts of people than the aggressive moves of Darth Sidious. What are you trying to say by that?
Well, they're more about the political situation of
Are you saying that people
talking.
should have caught on that it wasn't their plan or something?
No, I'm just saying it's interesting that that's the way it was.
Hmm.
And I just sort of noticed that, and I didn't notice it before. I'm just like, oh, they're the bad guys, and Darth Sidious is helping them.
Yeah.
But I didn't really, like, I sort of caught on to, or I've sort of come to the conclusion that Darth Sidious is sort of forcing their hand a lot in those movies, and then pretty much controls their every move by the end.
You say they were being edged into a war that they were not very good at managing. So Sidious sent Darth Maul, who just showed up to kill the Jedi. These early moves by Sidious to put himself in a strategic position in the Senate is fascinating to watch, while the Naboo and Tatooine stuff was not super interesting.
Yeah.
It is more about the politics around Naboo that makes it interesting rather than the planet and people itself. So you way prefer the politics than all the characters and things, which is
Yeah.
interesting. That's the opposite opinion a lot of people have on this film. A lot of people find the politics really boring in the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I find it interesting.
I find it more interesting as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I was just like,
Yeah, it's.
"Yes, get to the lightsaber."
I mean-
Yeah, that's what I felt as well when I was a kid. I was like, I just want
I mean,
to skip to the
even
bit
as
where
a
they have
kid,
a
I
fight.
had like mild interest in the political things, and like obviously, as you said, like I've grown to appreciate more as I got older. But you know, it was a nice refresher to get like a little bit of like the back stuff happening.
Mm.
Which is why I appreciate at the start of A New Hope where they have that line: the Emperor has dissolved the Senate, and the territories are now directly controlled by the regional governors. And I thought that means that the democracy that was in place in the prequels is just gone.
But he loves democracy. He said that.
I love democracy.
He does. I love democracy.
Democracy.
I love.
I've seen that. I don't know why I keep seeing that as a meme, and everyone's like, "Well, that was a fucking lie."
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. Like when I think about the Phantom Menace's story or plot or the politics of it now, I actually do find it really interesting. I mean, Darth Sidious is the Phantom Menace that is referred to in the film, not Darth Maul as I thought it was as a kid.
Yeah, because he's on the front cover, so you think it's Darth Maul.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, he's a menace and he's a phantom. Because it's really interesting because it's like one guy is basically orchestrating this entire faux war and no one realizes that it's him.
Yeah.
When you describe it like that, it's actually really quite interesting. But as a kid and younger, right, he's like, yeah, well,
Which is why Count Dooku is such a great character in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, but particularly Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he's barely in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah,
Dies like 10
all he does
minutes
is
in.
show up, say a few things, dies.
Yeah.
Doesn't even say anything interesting apart from I am the Sith, blah blah.
Tatooine is involved because of circumstances, and it just becomes more important later because Anakin and his family were from there, and therefore Luke was too. The pod racing stuff was great to watch. Yeah, when I was a kid, I remember everyone was like, the pod racing was so cool.
It's kind of weird why it was so cool though. And maybe it's just there was so much going on around it.
People die in it, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, but it's kind of brutal. It's
Yeah.
really fast. It's
I mean,
dangerous.
I think one of the main things is like it's a very interesting way to include world building in a Star Wars movie, because like, basically every other like Star Wars movie only focuses on like the main, usually like the war aspect, and then maybe the political stuff. Well, this is like, yeah, people in this world, we got slaves, we got markets. And we got this horrible death, wacky races that happens every now and again.
Yep. This, I think it like is also overseen by like some mob bosses and stuff because the Hutts were there. I remember.
Oh yeah.
It was just like, hey guys, they're like sponsors or some shit. Like, yeah, let's watch some death race. Put a kid in there. Why not? It's funny.
I guess they run the races, so that's why they were there.
Yeah, I don't know. I do. Because I've been watching Obi-Wan, I want to watch the prequels again.
But maybe also
really
because the
want
Hutts couldn't completely control all of the people at once.
to. Anakin's talent, but lack of success. Qui-Gon's risking everything on the win, and Sebulba's arrogance paired with his aggression towards Anakin, handling the latter, the win. Handing the latter to the win. You know, it is kind of weird that Qui-Gon risked everything on that win. You think he rigged it? Because he seems too smart to gamble.
I think he was just he had his faith in
No,
the
I'm-
Force that it would work out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
And
it's
he
just a
believed
case
in
of
Anakin.
Yeah.
the Force like twinged on my knob a little bit, telling me that this is what's gonna happen. I'll believe in this feeling. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
The Force was jerking me off.
you
and
know,
I was like,
the
I
Ghost
like
God
it.
tells me this is what's gonna this is gonna work out. So yeah, let's just go for it.
The Gungan stuff wasn't great, maybe because of how comic reliefy it felt.
Mm.
I've grown to like the Gungans a little bit more. There's this guy on YouTube called How Uncivilized. I don't know if you've watched
Oh
him.
yeah, I've heard of him.
He did it. I actually was rewatching his stuff just last night. He's only got like 7
Poor
videos.
Taxi Driver.
I've seen one of his.
Well, one of them is talking about the Gungans and the Phantom Menace and how they're actually like way more important and interesting, and Jar Jar is as well than you think.
Yeah.
And like it's because of Jar Jar that like he was able to put a weird like crux in Palpatine's plans or something like that, because the Gungan's army is like not to be underestimated or something. Because the Gungans, you know, they are part of Naboo, even though they're not often represented. They are still there, and they are still a force to be reckoned with. And people underestimate them. Naboo were boring.
They were.
But when Padme negotiated the alliance between the two, that's when it got really good.
Yeah.
The Gungans' equipment was impressive, their force field, electric balls, and even the size of the army were impressive. The Naboo had very little to offer comparatively, as maybe they had lost so much to begin with when they were originally invaded. The whole battle of Naboo on the planet and in space was great. Anakin going to Coruscant and facing the Jedi Council was really interesting.
Mm.
Qui-Gon being certain that Anakin would be trained no matter what was one of those key things that made everything happen for Anakin. What? No. Qui-Gon being certain that Anakin would be trained no matter what
Yeah. So.
was one of the key things that made everything happen for Anakin. Ah, yes, I see.
Yeah. So because Qui-Gon was so sure it would happen and believed in it so much, and therefore Obi-Wan did. That's why Anakin became a Jedi. Otherwise, he wouldn't have become a Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird, right? Because Qui-Gon is very smart, he's very wise, very clever, but Anakin's kind of like he becomes one of the biggest menaces in the entire
No,
universe.
it's fine.
Yeah.
He tapped his vein with his fucking finger, and he's like,
Can
"Damn,
you
you're
stop
full
talking
of
about his
jizz."
veins. About his knobs and veins and shit.
No. He looked at Anakin.
Squirting
He
out
tapped him on
midichlorians
the
all
vein
over
in
the
his
place.
wrist, and he's like, "You got all these fucking ghost shit inside of you. You will become a good Jedi. I believe
Go
in this."
shit in you. The age-old question will be whether Qui-Gon was the only one who could have properly trained Anakin. I personally believe that. I think that, like, a lot of people have said, like, if Qui-Gon was there, he could have been, like, a proper father figure for Anakin and could have trained him right and, like,
Yeah.
been, like, nice. But all of that responsibility was just kind of plopped onto Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan was kind of expected
exactly.
to, like, pick up the mess.
Yeah, I go into that a little bit in Attack of the Clones.
Obi-Wan was clearly not ready for such a Padawan. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I also found it odd that the council said no, and then Yoda said no after Qui-Gon died, but then Obi-Wan brought up Qui-Gon's insistence that Anakin would be trained, and then Yoda said, "Oh, no worries, sure you can train him."
Basically.
I know, right?
The,
Sure you can
the
train him.
Jedi are just like,
Where
yeah,
they're all
he's got like fear of loss inside of him. We can't teach him to be a Jedi.
and he's way
And
too
they say that like
invested in
3
that.
times.
This guy is like a
And
kid,
then
he's
Yo-
like filled with fear and shit.
Yeah. and then Yoda's just like, "Hey, you know what? Fuck it, just do it."
Yeah, Yoda's
Yeah.
not the smartest in this franchise, that's for sure.
Who?
Yoda.
Yoda.
Not
Well,
the
he made
prequel.
mistakes. He learned.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, next time, bye.